Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So I have some nice warm water here, water. And I just squeezed in some of the juice from a lime that I picked off one of the trees. So little things like that are exciting. So this morning, I just want to check on. There's usually so much creativity just bursting out of my mind in the early wee hours that I can't even contain myself, which is again why I love the early morning so much. I have to pace myself with so much inspiration. So this morning, Mawnin, I was just thinking about self-care and how much the term self-care is thrown around, but quite often it's not a consistent practice. I was also thinking about how we feel about ourselves. And for those of you that may not know, I work as a fitness coach, a nutrition coach, and trainer for many years. So one of the things that I'm really passionate around is getting to the bottom of our self-sabotaging behaviors. This manifests quite often in us eating mindlessly, and especially as we can see across the globe, but definitely as Afro women, that's something that shows up. The symptom or one of the manifestations of mindlessness and coping with stress is obesity, mental obesity, emotional obesity, as well as physical obesity, morbid obesity in the form of adipose tissue. And I would also say, consider that sometimes it's not outward. We may not have an outward manifestation of obesity in terms of excess adipose tissue deposited onto the body, of foods eating in excess, or substances masquerading as food eaten in excess, emotions. I'd like to invite you to consider that we're consuming emotions in excess, and there are unprocessed and unresolved emotions in excess. All of this manifests onto the body temple as we're mindlessly, right, processing or not processing, or in a stuck or looped way of processing these things. They'll manifest in the body. There are sensations in the body. There are actually physiological responses to stress. And the visualized stress, the processing, the mental processing is a function of the brain and the body. While we're in these almost like what do you call these things? They have these little projectors. When I was little, used to put a slide in, and you would click it on the side, and it was like a Disney little thing, and you would see a little cartoon or a little picture slide. Now, today in this millennium, now they have these look like goggles that you put them on, and in some kind of virtual world. Well, I invite you to consider that virtual goggle with things that have happened to us, memories, projections, and imagination into the future. We're walking around with goggles, but the goggles actually is the brain and the mental activity, the processing. Big portion is at lightning speed, all these images going on. And we're having a physiological response, like you're reacting at the screen in the movies. Our whole body, our insides, the fluttering that you get in your stomach when you're nervous or excited or anxious, we're experiencing all the time, primarily through the screens, right? We have lots of things that have happened to us that are stored in our subconscious, and then it's multiplied and manipulated, or what's the word? Guided to certain behaviors, all through what's going here and through what we're ingesting in one direction, because we're not putting back out. We're receiving through these screens. So being that the mind and mental activity and programming and the instructions and suggestions given to the mind is it's very malleable. It's very influenced. Children and adults, especially children. Why not leverage that, right? A lot of things we fight against. Why not leverage it and use it to your advantage? Because we're lying around experiencing all of this anxiety and stress in our stomach and in our chest, fearful things that make you fearful. Right? They're the 6 basic fears. I invite you to look it up, as I mentioned on this channel. And I think it's interesting. This is something that I thought of as a little girl, right? It occurred to me as a small girl. My family, we were very religious. Well, I was raised, let me not say we were, well, I could say I was religious because I was raised in the church. And I remember as a little girl getting saved, right? As a little girl. And so we grow up with all of these religious so-called values. And when we get to a certain age, as our thinking and as we're making sense of the world around us, we start to question the inconsistencies that we see with what we're being what's being orated to us in the whole stage, the whole setup of the church. Not looking to offend anyone, just one woman's experience. You can leave it right here. Oh, let me get a sip of water. So as we're questioning all of these things, I often wonder, as I say, how come I didn't see all of the things being professed about and these allegories and these stories and these anecdotes and these lessons to teach us about quote unquote right and wrong? Why didn't I see it manifested in the health and the vitality of the members sitting into the pews who are on the receiving end, whose imagination is being stimulated? So something I was thinking about in the early quiet hours. So don't want to trigger anyone, trigger warning. Something to consider. I am going to expire. We are all going to expire as we know it right now. That's a fact. Everybody on YouTube, everybody that has taken part in creating this computer, this screen, we are going to expire. I'm going to expire. Just to sit with that for a moment. I'm going to expire as I know it. And the truth of the matter, I can't tell you. I don't, maybe somebody else can. I can't tell you. Most people I know, I can't tell you what's going to happen in the next life, in the afterlife. And even if I did, that would be my interpretation. And most likely you wouldn't be able to relate if you don't have a frame of reference or experience. But what I do know, what is something that levels us all, is that we are going to expire. And if we could just sit with that. I don't know if the sadness of that, the finality of that, the reality of that, does that make us sad, or do we use that knowledge of that fact to get us, to shake us into awakeness to the urgency, not panic, but the urgency of our lives and what it is you want to experience and to have experiences, the need for vitality? Can we distinguish that all looking around through that projector most hours of the day, days and months on time, while we're eating snacks, which is literally a program, which is something it's a common behavior, which is really interesting, mind blowing, but that's a common behavior, I would say, of most modern societies. We've got these viewers on, even if you don't have the physical view, we've got these viewers on, and in between, we're going to fulfill our work responsibilities, eating snacks. And so one of the beautiful things about nature and caring for plants, which is why I'm the personal trainer to recommend that everybody grow something, because the care and the nurturing of the plant, even if you see it doesn't survive, it's going to make you much more aware and present to life cycles, not to this, the viewfinder, but to the actual life cycles of which we are a part. And so self-care, we hear self-care all the time, and we're constantly being marketed to triggered words, and we're constantly being marketed to as a way to assuage or to placate temporarily our insecurities. And I would say context is everything. Context is everything. So self-care, what are simple things that we have access to? So in this freedom hair, this Afro flower, this human flower challenge. For those that are interested, whether you are a loose natural, I don't know if you have straight hair. I have very delicate, fine Afro textured hair. The ritual in creating living rituals, and I would even say casting spells in the most practical sense over yourself, because everyone else is casting a spell over you. By a spell, I mean words and pictures and sounds and tones that uh, that are causing us to emote, that are triggering certain emotions, that are triggering certain behaviors. So why not? Everybody's getting in on it. Get in on it on yourself, and you take the responsibility to direct that, right? How you feel is so, so important. And so getting to simple, very profound self-care can be really, really beneficial to your relaxation and feeling comfortable in your body. And if you want to go put makeup on or whatever it is you want to do, context is everything. Context is everything. I invite you to explore free, right? Free. Do you feel and do you own your health, your vitality? Connected with that is also sensuality. I think it's interesting. There's so many generations of religions that have tried to suppress and control that. I think for needing soldiers or people to manipulate, or to just control something, to stifle and even suffocate people's sexuality and sensuality, because my mother would say, the longer you live. And so at this point on the planet, I could care less what people are doing. I do care about the protection of women and children and deviancy, whatever your label is. But however, I just realized more and more I could care less if somebody has a perm, if what their choices are. I just really don't care, because it's not my business, to be. I realize that actually it's a form of insecurity. Greetings. I realize in the quiet moments that it's actually an insecurity to be so focused on other people and how they feel about them or their perm, or the judgment of a perm. As somebody came up at some point with a perm and a jerry curl, a lot of times we're projecting our process onto other people. And I could say internally, never externally. It was a brief period where I could, I'm not somewhat judgmental over other people, but I realized that's my own experience I'm projecting onto someone else. And that's really powerful. A lot of times our pain and trauma, we're projecting it onto other people. So it's no wonder that we're so easily manipulated. And it's really clear cut. Especially today, we can see the way we're relating to social media as we're scrolling. In milliseconds, our brain is processing messages and information as we compare ourselves to others, and relationship goals, fitness goals, and all this. At what point do you just feel free and relaxed in your own body? So today, in simplistic self-care, I invite you to grab your water or your tea. Feel free to throw some lemon slices or some herbs from your little windowsill garden. Hint, hint. And I've already had my shower meditation where I just relax and let the hot water just run over me. And I oiled up before. See, these are small things, right? But they're profound for me. They're things that make me feel good, that I have access to. They actually make me feel, we say royal, we say queen, but are we really feeling like that? It's that little blips where we feel good, psychologically, but it doesn't land. Just like those church services, after the rolling, talking in tongues and rolling on the floor, it didn't have staying power. And I didn't see reflected in our health and in our economics as a collective. So are we really getting into a state of being that we own? And what can you do for yourself in your private moments, Flower, when you're in the house by yourself? Do you have things that you wear? Like sometimes I like nice little things that I look cute in. I've been having dance parties by myself before clients for years, intuitively. Like music that I would listen to at a club, I would listen to that and do my little workouts before I start engaging with clients, and clients were like, "Wow, how are you so energized?" Because I was thinking, I already done went to the club, had some juice, some nice tea, had a nice hot shower. I oiled up. Sometimes I don't like oil scents in my hair, and then sometimes it's just like an anointing of myself. So I just took one of my oils this morning that I usually massage my face with. Usually I'll use fresh fruit and vegetable juices that I press, and then also I will oil. Now I used to be deathly afraid of oil as someone that had cystic acne. I was really, really scared of oil. I mean, if you've ever had cystic acne and marks all over your face, or perhaps if you've ever been um, very, very, very overweight in terms of having a lot of adipose tissue, it can make you really anxious to like, is the acne going to come back? So I used to be scared of oil. So to me, certain things, it's amazing to me that I don't eat I don't eat junk food anymore. That is to me is like it's absolutely amazing. It's amazing that I can put oil on my face without fear. That's amazing. So I've already taken a nice shower meditation, and I have one of my water bottles. So in this flower challenge, all I'm doing is spritzing my hair. This is self-care. Right, kind of like when you had your nail polish. Oh, I always wanted to have a pajama party growing up, but my mother said no, I could not spend a night at anybody's house. So, and just water, you can put a little drop of essential oil. All right, these are things that we have access to. And by the way, in the Human Flower Challenge, this one that I chopped all the way up here, this is going to be the marker, right? So in 3-month cycles, and just leaving ourselves alone, you're welcome to take pictures because there are time and date stamps on them. I invite you to take a picture of your skin. I invite you to take a picture for those that are in the cocoon for your assessment, right? And your marker to track your progress, measure your progress. It's like with any business. Very, very important to see your progress. So to take a picture of your front side angled view of your body with some shorts, same outfit on all the time. You want to see your tummy. Take a picture of your skin, nothing on, and take a picture of your hair. And let's just see what it looks like. So I'm going to use this as the marker, and also this has still no buildup in it. It's nice and soft and flexible. So that's going to be the marker for the 3 months, and I have it documented now. And let's see what the change is going to be as we get more into relaxation. Can relaxation give you the access point to being present so that you're not living in triggeration, the state of constant triggeration, which is coming at you all the time? That's a fact. One-way deposits all the way from triggering relationship patterns, sometimes co-workers, and definitely through these screens. The triggering works. It definitely works to get us to, it triggers certain kinds of behaviors and responses. So can something as simple as soothing ourselves, right? So this is all I'm doing with the hair, because I had tried one time the baby soft brushing for lint, but I found this hair, if you've got really fine, delicate hair, I'm still learning. So hopefully this can save some folks that might be considering freeing up their hair. If you got really, really fine hair, your hair may be really, really thinning. The volume is what we want to experience from our own afro, right? So it doesn't look scalpy, and giving this tender head a break from pulling it and tugging it and giving it traction, alopecia, and beating ourselves into submission, trying to give ourselves a facelift, giving ourselves a break and just being real gentle and soothing. So it's damp and I'm just moistening it, a little massage. That's one. Number two, I have oil. So I remember my godparents first gave me an oil years ago. And so there's certain scents. I don't like a lot of perfume. Maybe there's very few essential oils. And I used to be the essential oil and the oil queen. But sometimes a little scent, like a little incense or sage, Afro women, especially over in the States, we got to have our juju. We got our sage, we got our frankincense and myrrh, to me, especially traveling. And actually, those things are harder to get overseas. And those to me are tastes of home, right? Now to my African dance classes, the sister at the African Street Festival, all of that. So there's certain oils that I have, and I just anoint myself with oils when I come out of my shower meditation. See these little things we have access to, right? And we have our water, constant water. I love warm water. And Massage. So I've been around a lot of massage therapists. My son's dad is a master massage therapist and acupuncturist. Plus, I worked at the Holistic Health Center for many years. I've gone on retreats, spas, ashrams. So I've been around a lot of massage. However, I am intuitively a good massager. And are you waiting for someone to massage you? See, the waiting will leave us frustrated. Are you waiting? If you move around in your house, are you allowing yourself to feel free? I don't know, you may want to walk around sometimes naked. I have this thing, especially in my own privacy, right? Because it's just me, is to feel my sensuality in my own house. So sometimes we can be so quote unquote spiritual if you're very, very religious. I've observed if it doesn't resonate, leave it right here. That and it was one minister that I really liked. It was like an old school Baptist minister. But when I watch this man, when I watch a lot of the women, it's almost like and I see it in several different religious groups, even some cults, where the women are so restricted. It's almost like our sexuality, our sensuality, our sensuousness has been muzzled. And I can think of one group in particular I see all the time where the men look very fat and the women, the men look very fit. And the women, the body types look almost like, oof, like cow-like or very sausage-like, and then they're covered here and they're covered there. It just looks so restricted with nothing. And I totally get the natural lifestyle. I've gone years, of covering and all of that. But just energetically, it is so restrictive. It is so restrictive. It's stifling to women. And I do get, I've spoken to one of them. And the thing is to not be distracted by the world. Totally get it. Totally get it. But when I look at the energetics of it, the stifling of female expression and creativity, yes, it can be considered materialistic. We do live in a materialistic world, but just all this manipulating and constricting and restricting of our energy. So in your private moments, do you take care and massage yourself? So this is one of my oils. And I usually keep cute things around for myself. Pretty beautiful, not even cute, beautiful things. So I put one of my oils that I use for massage. And I already had some fresh juice that I put on my face. Yes, I put fruits and vegetables on my face. And I also, to me, which is very soothing. So I do breast massage, yes, to myself. And I do stomach massage, right? Peace to the moon. And I also do face massage. So of course, if you do face massage, you want to do it with clean skin. And you know what? Stuff like this is so soothing. Oh my gosh. You take the time. You take the time. Not rushing. Are you taking the time? Guess it's too extreme. Religious female restriction or selling ourselves as sex objects in social media. Yes. And you know what's so interesting? Like, see, this is why the quiet, you can hear in the quiet. In both cases, someone else is controlling the narrative. Just like with the screens, with all the things we're watching and the Netflix and all, someone's writing the story, controlling the meanings and the context with the religion and different groups we go into. And yes, when we love the ritual and we love the symbolism and we like the kum and all the other stuff, but if you just step back with your own divine, innate, on board communication that you were born with that doesn't need anybody else's interpretation, especially as a woman or any intentional conscious being that has some kind of trust in their own common sense. You can discern the whole energetics of it, right? The stifling, which we submit to and quite often we're raised in. So to find the balance is like, quiet. You're welcome to join me if you have some oil and your face is clean. So we've done a lot of deep breathing, which I'm still doing on this channel. And so I love the things that we have access to. So you're welcome to join me in the early day for chit chat and some massage, self-soothing massage, self-care, because these things can really change and manipulate intentionally the trajectory for your day. So I get it. I get all the makeup. I get that in the grooming, but underneath, it's not so much that the makeup is wrong and beautifying. I love beautifying. This is beautifying to whatever degree, however you feel. But it's that if it's at the core, only you know in your quiet moments, not for me to say, do you feel like you have to cover up who you are? See, that's the thing that was bothering me. Even I didn't wear a lot of makeup, but even with the mascara, when I felt like for a long time I shared on this channel, I took off everything, my earrings, all jewelry, all mascara, because I felt like, oh my gosh, I noticed that I felt like if I didn't have it on, the internal dialogue was like, I'm not as worthy, or really, I'm not pretty, or I don't look good enough, or I can't compete with the rest of my colleagues, or I won't get more business. I won't get more business than the rest of my peers and my colleagues. That's a tone, a feeling, and a vibration. That's years also of stuff. There's so many layers of stuff compacted and pushed down into our subconscious. And I will tell you, it's affecting how we are consuming. It's driving mindless consumption where we're eating for these suppressed emotions and for the nervousness and the anxiety, like a nervous tick, to soothe ourselves. And we also become chemically addicted, and we construct and create new neural pathways, right? In terms of how we're processing information. It's addictive. We're creatures of habit. So it really takes something to change the trajectory, to reprogram yourself, and to do it not from a place of fear, which is why I invite a healthy sense of curiosity, and to create simple things that we have access to that are very soothing and relaxing, and to constantly soothe and relax yourself with other forms of nourishment that are not physical food, to help you get clear and grounded so you can make more intentional choices about the things that you're eating, right? And then if you want to play and put some mascara on, or a lot of times I just like to put shea butter or cocoa butter on my eyelashes. And I've learned before they don't grow back anymore to appreciate my eyebrows, because they don't totally grow back, because I kept plucking them. They were fine. They were fine. But isn't interesting, in our anxiety, we're destroying the follicles. We have scabs on the scalp. It's not the beautification, but it's the damage, the anxiety, the damage that we're doing to ourselves in the process. Are we questioning this as women? I submit. As a species, we are highly influenced, degrees and educated and all of that. But the primal part of our brain, that's driven quite often by fear and avoidance of pain, and avoidance of, remember, fear of death, fear of old age, fear of poverty, fear of loss of love, and never finding love. Fear, let's say, poverty, death, pain, love, fear of criticism. I always forget the sixth one. It's in here somewhere. But these fears, it's extremely easy, can we not see, to manipulate human beings, and we allow ourselves to be manipulated. Because when you get quiet and you question these things, and you allow yourself to question, and if you're quiet, answers from your own common sense and your divine internal guidance system are going to come up. If we get quiet and we're quiet long enough. So I invite you. I'm telling you, relaxation is so huge. Relaxation is so huge. And massaging your hands, and massaging and being and holding space for yourself through the different processes of life. We're programmed to want and expect this from other people. However, my life is 110% my responsibility. Sometimes you have to mourn you didn't get what you wanted, or what you were told you want to get, just to sit with all those things. Just like sitting with the fact that we are going to expire. We're going to expire in this life as we know it. Sit with it. Own it. And so we can start to have respect for this particular phase of life, and to be present. The breathing, the relaxation can bring you present. So then it's like, once you can assess what it is, then you can make a more conscious decision about, okay, now how am I showing up? Who do I have to be? Right? It's trick. There's a lot of Jedi mind tricks with these words and with these tones and these songs. But there's ways to deactivate it. And one of them is it's very tricky. Who do I have to be? See, different begging and pleading and affirming without really believing. What is the state of being? Who do I have to be to live the life that I want, to feel healthy, to be vital? One of them, I said, the most recent contemplation is courage. I have to be courageous. I'm choosing to be courageous. See, that gets you into a state of being. I'm courageous this morning, even in taking the time for myself. I was talking to someone recently, a doctor who was saying that he's not taking the time for himself as they're building a new office. And this is someone that he and his wife highly value health, but he's moving at such a pace. He said he's never felt so stressed. But he's so busy, it's almost feeling obligated to not take the time for himself. When, I was like, you might want to lay on the floor. You know me. You might want to lay on the floor and do nothing for a few minutes, even in the midst of close your office door and do nothing. I just do some deep breathing. Simple. No gurus required. No big production to ground you and to get back present. I imagine it also takes courage. It does take courage to share online. There are often times where I've considered shutting down a lot of social media. However, my grandma Lou, who I talk about all the time, was a glass half full human being. And so very disheartened. I mean, it's so many trolls and so much, as you discover the scamming and the amount of deviancy and the, what do you call it? The black web, the dark web. Oh my gosh. It is so disheartening, the different types of, but that there are dualities. It exists. There's nothing that I can do about it. Am I going to stop expressing? I've found ways to educate myself to eliminate some of the trolling or to manage the trolling. And some of it's been a lesson for me in to detaching from that and to not be so triggered. That was a lot. I've gotten inappropriate pictures, all kinds of stuff on which to me was like shocking. I was so angered, upset. I was like, what could I do? I created some positive videos around internet etiquette. I made a song about it. I researched on how to block people from the channels, because still, if I didn't express, then I don't get to communicate with other young women, other people in my community, even people around the world. I share languages. I love languages. I watch some women farming in other countries. So it's the duality. That is what it is. So my grandmother Lou, my grandmother said, you do your best and you wash your hands. So I think it does take courage. I think also healthy boundaries are important as with all this expressing and blurting out everything online, especially with this current generation. Well, let me not say current generation, this current time that we're in. I think we have to be very, very careful because, again, with social media, I don't think we're understanding, again, the psychology of what's happening, because people say my internet family, it's still strange. You don't know these people and it's not a vetting process, right? I think this actually can be very dangerous. So I think it's very important to maintain, especially as women, especially as Afro women, because as we're on, all of these platforms are monetized. I'm not selling any products or anything, but the fact of the matter, this whole thing is not free. Right? The technology of it is not free. So it's very important. That's why I love the quiet, for us to be relaxed, discerning thinkers, so we can strategize in a relaxed way, strategize our self-care, and strategize who we give access to, right? I personally think there's too much easy access to women and Afro women in particular. And so I think that's left us very confused. We have a lot of women, mature women, younger women that are without guidance. And then even folks, it's been demonstrated that young people, which would make sense, and young folks go to for guidance. Folks have misused their eldership, their positions of religious leadership, parents, the government. So, it's left folks running around like a chicken without their head off. So I encourage going into your common sense and to create those healthy boundaries. And self-care, believe it or not, can actually help sharpen your critical thinking. And I give one story, and oh my gosh, the time to jump in. There was a man that I met, right? Get my little massage early morning. We're gonna jump off here. There are other chores in the garden, other stuff to do. So there was a elder that I met. I used to work at a holistic health center for quite a few years, and I met so many really interesting characters and people that came through there, and healers and folks on their mission and their path. And this man, oh, very eclectic, very, very sharp. He said he taught his daughter to drive like a 16-wheeler or a tractor trailer. I'm not, I'm more of a bicycle person than a car person. And I remember thinking, like, wow, that's interesting. Why would you teach your daughter to drive a 16-wheeler? And he said, that's because when some knucklehead comes trying to say, get in my car, let me take you for a ride, she's like, I already know how to drive a 16-wheeler. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I thought that was brilliant. And there's certain nuggets. I've had a lot of nuggets given to me by some elders, right? So there still are some people that are gracious to share some nuggets of wisdom and keep healthy boundaries. But I never forgot that. And nuggets like that are the gift that keep giving. So I remember when I used to be riding my bicycle from Brooklyn to Chinatown, across to Brooklyn or the Manhattan Bridge, and sometimes folks would be honking their horn at me and think like, you want to ride? And I used to be thinking like, no, I don't be in your suffocating car. And I'm nice and fit because I'm on this bike. And I'm seeing the whole city from another perspective. I felt so free having this new experience, especially as an adult that learned to ride a bicycle. That was really challenging, taking on fears. There have been times I've ridden across a bike in a blackout to get to Manhattan to train clients, all kind of adventures. I'm not saying that that's what you should do, but the whole point is these are examples of taking on fears and having adventures with yourself, having adventures, taking things on, self-care. These things are really how you can cultivate a real foundation of confidence. That confidence is going to play into your food choices and your consumption choices, ultimately not putting yourself in harm's way. Policy around here, to the best of our ability, we don't want to put ourselves in harm's way. And humbly, likely as human beings, at some point we will, right? Again, just like we are going to expire and we're going to die as we know it. At some point, we'll put ourselves in harm's way. Let's sit with that for a moment. And I invite you with a healthy bit of curiosity to question, now, why would I put myself in harm's way? You see, I have this thing about getting to the root, not just putting spirulina on top of doo-doo, right? And putting wheatgrass on top of the doo-doo. Or putting a bindi and putting these you know us folks, we like to get the outfit. And put all this fabulous stuff because the doo-doo is there, the foundation. How about getting to the root? Because if we've been praying, and a lot of these things haven't changed, and we're still not able to let go of sabotaging behaviors, right? And a lot of our health or ill health and damage, actually, some of it irreversible we do to ourselves, is a result of something. I invite you to have a healthy sense of curiosity to get to the bottom and the root of what is driving the behaviors. At some point, we have or we will put ourselves in harm's way. Now, why would you put yourself in harm's way? And that I'm going to end off with that, or go forward with that as the contemplation. I invite you to close your eyes if you like, or to just get quiet. And that is a question, a contemplation for today. Not condescending, but why? Why would you put yourself in harm's way? Why would you eat what you think is harmful to your precious stomach? The stomach is only so big. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you put yourself at risk for someone that hasn't demonstrated safety? Why are you placing your precious reproductive organs? Why are you putting them in harm's way? Why are you hurting yourself? Right? And just listen. Because it says there's a disconnect and we're not present. Why? Why are you doing that? Just listen. It may not come to you right now. With a quiet listening and with a compassion, just like it was a child, that primal part of you that is ageless. Why put yourself in harm's way? For what? There's some of the habits and the vices that we have that seem like they're comforting. Initially, I invite you to slow down so you can see what's happening. So you can observe what's happening, right? You can't. I used to be addicted to McDonald's fries and every potato chip on the market and wonder why I had acne, even when I switched it to organic chips. I invite you to get to the root of what is driving your behavior. And I invite you to get to the root. We all have the same amount of hours in the day. If you feel like I don't have the time to, if you say I don't have the time, I don't have no time for healthy food. I only got time for junk. I only have time for low quality fuel that robs my energy. I invite you. If you only have time for things that don't foster and cultivate vitality, that don't sharpen your brain cells, that don't foster longevity, that don't foster an appreciation for the delicate kidney, liver, and spleen, all the stuff that is helping your liver, that help your skin to be vital and for you to express out here, I invite you to question that. And I invite you to sit in compassion for yourself. So we'll just do some deep breathing or move forward into the day. You're welcome to get into a comfortable position where your spine can be upright. Gently pull your belly button into the spine. You can tilt the bowl of your pelvis upward. You're going to create a lot of space between your shoulder and your ear. We're going to inhale and exhale through our nose. Listening to the quality and the length to try to even out the length of your inhale and your exhale. So you're welcome to take a moment to write a few words or a couple of sentences in your journal. Anything perhaps that comes up for you, something that you might be working on or working through. If there are vices that you have, if you're wondering which direction or course of action to take, you can ask a question of your own divine, onboard, innate intelligence that all of us were born with. I was born with it. You were born with it. So I invite you to sit with that. I invite you to consider that each one of us has something to not just say, but we all have something to express while we are in this particular incarnation, while we have access to these precious vehicles, these body temples that are a house for our essence, for our spirit. We have something we'd like to express. And if we're not expressing it, that's going to be an irritation and anxiety. It's even sometimes a sadness or a depression because we may not feel good enough, or we feel like we're not perfect, or we don't feel worthy sometimes of receiving abundance, or there's a disconnect there. There's something that's disconnected. So I invite you to hold space for yourself, to have compassion, and to ask questions and listen, get quiet, to cultivate a quiet, a listening. Feel free to create a circle of influence for yourself very creatively, and support works. Support works. Lay on the floor maybe in the middle of the day for a few minutes and do absolutely nothing. and just listen to your own breath. No production necessary. Perhaps before you go to rest, before you maybe perhaps turn on one of the T channels, maybe perhaps ask yourself, is looking at somebody else's life and maybe the so-called celebrities, the horrors they're going through, or as they're what clothes they have on, is this a distraction? Am I not really wanting to really roll up my sleeves and do the work or experience the discomfort when it comes to my own transformation? I invite you to put on images that affirm you, where you can see yourself, if not me or whatever your texture, your skin, to see yourself represented, and then turn it off and gaze at yourself more in the mirror and hold space for yourself. You're invited to feed yourself the most nutrient dense, water rich, colorful, high optimal fuel that is peaceful to your womb, your reproductive organs, your arteries, your brain, your eyes, your vitality, and your mood. And in peaceful consumption, the choice is already lined up. I don't need to tell you, it doesn't need any label. So, with that, I invite y'all to create a great day on purpose. I am sending you all warm, positive vibration. See you soon. So, if you like, replay this. You're welcome to subscribe to this channel. Perhaps share it with someone who you know could use some motivation or some support. All right. See y'all soon.